Good morning, students. Welcome to Best Assignment classes. In this video class, we are going to discuss about the important concepts in the embryonic development of human embryo. Along with that, we will discuss about the process of parturition and lactation. The topics we are going to discuss. First, we will start with embryonic development, as already we discussed this in last class. Once again, just we will see this. Later we will go for next topic. You see, the embryonic development is a complex process. During this process, various changes takes place in the embryo. Okay, what are the modifications that will take place in the embryo during the 9 months of gestation period in human being? See, in the first month, what is the important event that already we discussed in last class? In the first month, the formation of heart is one of the very important event. Along with this, by a careful observation or by a careful investigation, we can able to notice the sound or heartbeat with the stethoscope. With the help of stethoscope, we can listen the heartbeat of the embryo in the first month. Okay. So in the first month, formation of heart and heartbeat can be noticed with the help of stethoscope. Whereas in second month, the formation of limbs, upper limbs and lower limbs, along with that, formation of digits, fingers and toes, that also takes place in the second month. And after completion of second month, the next is third month. So it is very crucial period. In this month, all organs and organ systems of the body are completely formed. So there is formation of a complete fetus in the third month. Okay, up to second month we can call that as a embryo, but after 8 weeks, that is after 2 months, we should call that as a fetus. Fetus is actually a stage where all organs are present, but whereas in embryo, organs are not completely formed, right? By the ending of this third month, the formation of an organic connection between fetus and mother, that is placenta, also takes place. That you should notice here, right? So next, the important events that takes place in the fifth month. The first movement of fetus takes place in the fifth month. For the first time, the fetus will move in the uterus of the mother. So that is happens in the fifth month. Along with that, formation of hair on the head. Formation of hair on the head also takes place in the fifth month. Along with that, formation of nails. Formation of nails, of fingers, and formation of nails, of toes. So the fingernails and toenails. Fingernails and toenails also developed here. And the baby will hold the hands with firm grip that leads to formation of palm creases along with the fingerprints. So formation of fingerprints, palm creases and nails also takes place in this particular period, right? Next, eyebrows and eyelashes also developed in the fifth month, in the sixth month. But we have here, body is covered by fine hair. Along with that, the development of eyebrows and eyelashes takes place, and for the first time, the baby will open its eyes. That means eyelids are separated. So the eyelids of fetus are separated. So that we discussed in last class. Along with that, in the seventh month of embryonic development, what will happen? In the seventh month of embryonic development, the fetus will get a viability, that is the chances of the survival. If the delivery will takes place in the seventh month, which is known as premature deliveries. So, if this premature delivery takes place in the seventh month, with the postnatal care, there will be chances for the survival of the baby. There will be chances for the survival of the baby. So the viability of baby will attain by the seventh month. Okay. And at the same time, during the seventh month, one more event also we discussed. What is that event? That is descending of testes into scrotal sacs in male fetus, and in female fetus, the ovaries begin oogenesis. The ovaries begin oogenesis during 7th month. Along with that, in this 7th month, the fetus shows vigorous movements. The fetus start picking off uterus of the mother. Okay. So here, vigorous movements of fetus is noticed in the 7th month, and also the fetus can able to notice the voice of the mother. It should notice the voice of the mother, and it can respond to loud sounds. The fetus should respond. It will be respond to loud sounds. Is it clear? That all takes place in the 7th and also up to 8th month. Okay. So next, what happens by the ending of 9th month? The fetus will be completely matured. All the organs and organ systems which are formed by the ending of that month will reach to sufficient growth that will provide more chances for the survival of fetus if that will be delivered by the ending of 9th month. And in this period, when the gestation period will be almost completed, the head of the fetus will take a direction toward the cervix. Okay. So here the head of the fetus will move towards the cervix. So the baby, that is fetus, take a direction to deliver out. Okay. So that we discussed in last class. There are 3 trimesters. First 3 months, first trimester. Second 3 months, second trimester, and last 3 months, that is the third trimester. Trimester means 3 months of time that we already discussed. Medical termination of pregnancy or abortion is safe only up to 12 weeks. Up to 12 weeks of pregnancy, that is up to 3rd month. After 3rd month, what will happen? After 3rd month, there is formation of a close intimative structure between mother and fetus. There is a placenta. If any abortions, induced abortions or intentional abortions will take place after 3rd month, that will show harmful effects on the fetus. Sorry, harmful effects on the health of the mother, that we should notice. Second. Okay, right, that's clear. Next, after that, we discussed in last class now. Now we will continue the remaining topic. After completion of embryonic development, as already we discussed, the gestation periods in various animals. In opossum, the least gestation period we can notice, whereas in elephant, the longest gestation period, as already mentioned. Okay, in human being it is about 270 days, but it is not a fixed number. It is plus or minus 1 week. Okay, that also we should notice. After completion of that, the next topic here we are going to discuss is parturition and lactation. Parturition and lactation. So the next topic here is parturition and lactation. What is parturition? First we will discuss about parturition, later we will go for lactation. So what is parturition? In our common terms, we are using the word delivery. Okay. So parturition is nothing but delivering the baby out from the uterus of the mother to exterior. Okay. So when the parturition will takes place, parturition will usually takes place after completion of gestation period. After completion of gestation period, if it is in human being, after 9 months of gestation period or pregnancy period, the fetus should be expelled out from the uterus to exterior. That is known as parturition. So first of all, write down the definition for parturition. The process of expulsion of fully matured fetus from the uterus of the mother to exterior, from the uterus of the mother to exterior at the ending of or after completion of gestation period. After completion of gestation or pregnancy period. After completion of gestation period. That is what parturition. So parturition is the process of expulsion or expelling out of baby from the uterus of the mother to exterior after completion of gestation period. So here I gave a simple definition. The process of expulsion of fully mature fetus from the uterus of the mother to exterior after completion of gestation period. Right? It is a general definition for the parturition. Okay, but some abnormal conditions. Premature delivery is also possible. Premature delivery is also possible in abnormal conditions. Sometimes the baby will be delivered in 7th month only. That will depend purely on hormonal concentrations in the body of a female. Okay. So in the 7th month also there will be chances for the delivery. But sometimes the fetus will be expelled out by the ending of 5th month also, or in the 3rd month or in the 4th month also. That is not considered the parturition. That is actually abortion. Do you know the difference between parturition and abortion? So after 7th month, if there is any delivery takes place, that is parturition. If it takes place in the 7th month, that is a premature delivery. If it takes place after 9 months, after completion of gestation period, that is a normal parturition or delivery. But before 5th month, if any parturitions will take place, that are known as abortions, it is not at all considered as a parturition. So that we should notice. After gestation period or after 7th month of embryonic development, we can consider that as a parturition. But before 5th month, there will be no chances of the survival of fetus. So before 5th month, that is known as abortion. Okay, right? You should notice here parturition and how the parturition will be initiated in human embryos. How the parturition will be initiated in human embryos, that also we have known. So here, how the parturition will be initiated here. See, whenever the gestation period will be completed, the fully matured fetus along with the placenta will send some signals. Okay, actually, the fully mature fetus and placenta will start contractions, mild contractions takes place. So whenever mild contractions takes place there, whenever the fully formed fetus and placenta will send signals that leads to mild contractions in the uterus. Whenever mild contractions takes place in the uterus, that leads to release of a hormone from the posterior lobe of pituitary gland, that is oxytocin. Okay. So now we will discuss first what are the processes that are required for the parturition or delivery of a baby. So first of all, how the parturition will be initiated. See, parturition is a process where both the nervous system and endocrine system are involved. Both the nerve signals and also hormones are involved. So it is not only hormonal process or it is not only neural process. It is a neurohormonal neurohormonal regulation, neurohormonal process. Neurohormonal regulation is there for the parturition. Okay. First, we will discuss fetal ejection reflex, the very important concept which is required for the beginnings of parturition. Fetal ejection reflex. What is fetal ejection reflex? Reflex is a neural action. Okay, you all that it is involuntary action. Right now, what is fetal ejection reflex? One of the important concepts here. The fully formed fetus and placenta, the fully formed fetus and placenta send signals. The fully formed fetus, the fully formed fetus and placenta induces mild uterine contractions. The fully formed, right down, the fully formed fetus or fully developed fetus or fully mature fetus. The fully developed fetus and placenta send signals or reflex nerve impulses. The fully formed or fully developed fetus and placenta send signals which stimulates mild contractions in the uterus, of the mother. In the uterus of the mother is known as fetal ejection reflex. Fetal ejection reflex. What is the fetal ejection reflex? The fully developed fetus and placenta send signals which stimulates mild contractions in the uterus is known as fetal ejection reflex. Fetal ejection reflex. This is very important one. Fetal ejection reflex. So actually, who noticed the completion of gestation period? How the mother will get the idea of the time, that is the completion of gestation period, that is by fetal ejection reflex. So the fully formed fetus only send a message to the mother in the form of a nerve signal. Is it clear? The fully formed or fully developed fetus, which may feel bored because it stayed 9 months in the uterus of the mother now, so that may feel bored, so that will send a signal to the mother, or that will send a message to the mother. That is just for your understanding, I am mentioning like that, but it is actually fetal ejection reflex. Fetal ejection reflex, the nerve signal which leads to ejection of fetus or delivery of fetus is fetal ejection reflex. So fetal ejection reflex will be developed by fully developed fetus and placenta. Fully developed fetus and placenta, that you should notice now. So a fully formed, a fully developed fetus along with placenta sends some signals that will generate a nerve impulse. Whenever there is a signal generated by fully developed fetus and placenta, that induces mild contractions in the uterus. This is known as fetal ejection reflex. The signals from fully developed fetus and placenta which induces mild contractions in the uterus is known as fetal ejection reflex. What is the result of this fetal ejection reflex? Whenever there is mild contractions takes place in the uterus, immediately the posterior lobe of pituitary secretes one hormone, that is oxytocin. Now, after completion of this fetal ejection reflex, what will happen here? The posterior pituitary. You are all right. Posterior pituitary cannot able to secrete any hormone, but it can store the hormones which are secreted by the hypothalamus and releases. So here, the very important hormone for parturition is oxytocin. Oxytocin, right? So whenever fetal ejection reflex will be generated by the fully developed fetus and placenta, that induces mild contraction in the uterus, that leads to increase in the levels of oxytocin. Okay, so the posterior lobe of pituitary will increases, that will releases the oxytocin. Whenever oxytocin will be continuously secreted by the posterior lobe of pituitary, what will happen in the body of a female? Oxytocin level will be increases. Oxytocin level will be increases. This oxytocin will act on the myometrium of uterus, especially the smooth muscles which are present in the myometrium of uterus. It will act on smooth muscles of myometrium. Oxytocin will act on smooth muscles of myometrium of the uterus. Oxytocin. What's the target of oxytocin? Oxytocin will act on smooth muscles of myometrium. In female, the largest smooth muscles are present in the myometrium during the pregnancy. During the pregnancy, see the largest smooth muscles, right? By hypertrophy, by increasing the size, the largest smooth muscles are noticed in the myometrium of the uterus. Largest smooth muscles are present in the myometrium of the uterus during the pregnancy, right? What is the use of these largest smooth muscles that are present here? Whenever oxytocin levels will be increases, oxytocin will act on smooth muscles of the myometrium and it will cause for very severe contractions, very strong contractions in the smooth muscles of the myometrium. Whenever strong contractions are takes place in the smooth muscles of the myometrium, what will happen? If it is uterus, very strong contractions takes place in the smooth muscles of the uterus, automatically the baby will be pushed out, right? So automatically the baby, that is fetus, will be pushed out, that is the parturition. So here, this severe contractions or strongest contractions in the body of a human will be noticed only during the parturition. The strongest muscle contraction should be noticed only during this. It is the strongest muscle contraction in human body. Okay. So because of this strongest muscle contractions, that leads to severe pains. That leads to severe pains that are known as labor pains. Labor pains. Okay. So during the parturition, the mother or the female will suffer with pains. What are the pains? The pains are actually known as labor pains. So which hormone is responsible for labor pains? Labor pains. Labor pains will be induced by oxytocin. Oxytocin is responsible for labor pains. And the contraction of which layer of uterus is responsible for labor pains? Myometrium. The contraction of smooth muscles of myometrium are responsible for labor pains. Right? Why the female will get pains during the parturition, during the delivery? Why? Because of strongest contractions that takes place in the largest smooth muscles present in the myometrium of the pregnant female. Is it clear? So labor pains will begin by the strongest contractions takes place in the largest smooth muscles of myometrium of uterus. That you should notice here. Is it clear? By this strongest contraction, what will happen? That will create a pressure on the fetus. So whenever there is a pressure, automatically the fetus will be pushed out or that will be expelled out from the uterus. Okay. So the head of fetus will first pushed into the neck of uterus. What is the neck of uterus? That is the cervix. But the diameter of cervix is very less. How the head? When compared to the diameter of cervix, the head of fetus is large. Then how the head of fetus will pass through this narrow cervical canal and vagina? For that, there is widening or dilation of cervix and vagina takes place. Already I mentioned the cervix and the vagina collectively form birth canal. So the diameter of birth canal should be enhanced, right? It will become wide. Then only the fetus should pass through this birth canal and parturition will be done, right? So in this labor pains, there are 3 stages. We can notice 3 stages in the labor pains. What are the 3 stages we'll discuss now? So once again, parturition is the process of expulsion or expelling out of fully mature fetus from the uterus of mother to exterior after completion of gestation period. So how this parturition will be induced or how it will be initiated? The fully developed fetus and placenta will send some signals. In response to that signals, the uterine muscles will undergo mild contractions. Whenever a mild contraction takes place in the uterine wall, automatically the posterior lobe of pituitary gland secretes the oxytocin, so oxytocin levels will be enhanced in the body of a female. If the oxytocin levels will be increases, that oxytocin will act on the smooth muscles of myometrium and stimulates very strong contractions. That strong contractions leads to labor pains. Okay. During this labor pains, we can notice 3 stages. What are the 3 stages? Now we discuss. There are 3 stages in the labor pains. The first stage is phase of dilation. Stage of dilation. The second stage of expulsion. Stage of expulsion. And the third stage, placental stage. Placental stage. Placental stage. So these are the 3 stages in the labor pains. Now we'll discuss about of these 3 stages in detail. So first, the stage of dilation. In the stage of dilation, what will happen? Due to increase in the oxytocin concentrations, the myometrium will undergo strong contractions that leads to beginning of labor pains. Okay. So at that time, the diameter of cervix or the diameter of cervix and vagina both, that is the birth canal, will become wide. Dilation of cervix and vagina takes place in this stage. Widening of cervix and vagina takes place in this stage. That is the stage of dilation. Stage of dilation. Is it clear? Right? And one more thing you should notice: when a strong contraction takes place around the fetus, especially on three sides of the fetus, there is one extra embryonic layer present. What is this? That extra embryonic layer? Amnion. Amnion has a cavity, amniotic cavity. That amniotic cavity is filled with amniotic fluid. Is it clear? So whenever strong contractions takes place, that leads to rupture of amnion. Whenever strong contractions takes place in the myometrium of the uterus, that will create a pressure. Whenever there is a pressure, automatically that leads to rupture of amnion. Whenever amnion will be ruptured, all amniotic fluid will be sent out through the vagina. So through the vagina, amniotic fluid will be sent out. So before parturition only, amnion will be ruptured and all the amniotic fluid will be sent out. That also noticed in the stage of dilation. So in the stage of dilation, oxytocin level will be increases. Due to that, strong contractions takes place in the myometrium of uterus. By these contractions, the amnion will be ruptured and amniotic fluid will be sent out. Amniotic fluid will be sent out through the vagina before parturition or before birth of the fetus. So usually it will take 6 to 12 hours. That will depend upon the hormone levels in the body of a female. 6 to 12 hours, right? See, sometimes even after completion of gestation period, the female cannot get labor pains. Even after completion of 9 months of period, there will be no chances for any labor pains. In that conditions, if they will consult a gynecologist, doctor, then they will give an injection. Whenever they will get that injection, immediately labor pains will begin. What is that injection? Which hormone they will inject into the body? That is oxytocin. So in that female, even after completion of gestation period, the oxytocin level will not increases. Because of that, the doctors will inject oxytocin into the body of the female, then labor pains will begin. That you should notice here. Is it clear? So in the first phase, the dilation of cervix and vagina takes place. Dilation or widening of cervix and vagina takes place, and rupture of amnion takes place. All the amniotic fluid will send out through the vagina, so that you should notice here. How is the oxytocin level? Oxytocin level is high. Oxytocin level is high. That is the first stage. The dilation of both cervix and vagina takes place here. Next, in stage of expulsion. See, this stage of expulsion lasts from 10 minutes to some hours. That will depend upon again the hormones. 10 minutes to some hours it will take place. So during this stage, expulsion, the fetus will be pushed out from the uterus to exterior. The fetus will be pushed out from the uterus to exterior through the birth canal, that is through the cervix and vagina. The fetus will be pushed out, or the expelling out of baby, that is the fetus, takes place here in the stage of expulsion. In this stage of expulsion, one hormone is very essential, that is relaxin. So as already we discussed about the relaxin, relaxin is the hormone which is secreted by ovaries. Relaxin is a hormone that is secreted by the ovaries in last days of gestation period. In last days of pregnancy, one hormone is secreted by the ovaries. What is that? Relaxin. What is the role of this relaxin? See, relaxin acts on pubic symphysis joint, pubic symphysis joint of pelvic girdle. It is there in the pelvic girdle. The pubic symphysis joint of pelvic girdle. Relaxin act on pubic symphysis joint of pelvic girdle, and it helps in the loosening. It helps in the loosening of pubic symphysis. Then only the bones or the pelvic girdle become wide. Okay. So the cavity which is there in the pelvic girdle, that is birth canal, will be enhances. See, it is for example pelvic girdle. It is pelvic girdle. In this pelvic girdle, at anterior, that means at ventral side, the two coxal bones, pelvic girdle is made up of two coxal bones. You all know that, as already we discussed that in first year. So the two coxal bones are connected ventrally with the help of a joint. What is that joint? Pubic symphysis joint. Pubic symphysis joint. These two are the coxal bones, and here it is pubic symphysis. There is a joint. During parturition, this bone should move away from each other. The bones should move away from each other. Whenever these bones will move away from each other, then only the birth canal will become more dilated. Birth canal will become more dilated. Otherwise, if it is narrow, if this joint is very tight, there will be no chances for widening. There will be no chances for moving of these two coxal bones opposite to each other. Okay, actually this is, that is, the pubic symphysis is amphiarthrosis type of giant. Amphiarthrosis of arthrosis. What is amphiarthrosis? Amphiarthrosis giant means a slightly mobile giant. A slightly mobile giant. As we discussed in first year, there are three types of giants: anarthrous, amphiarthros, and diarthros giants. So it is amphiarthrosis. So it is slightly mobile giant. When our relaxation releases, that will act on this pubic symphysis and loosen the pubic symphysis. When the pubic symphysis will become loosened, that will enhance the diameter, enhance the space in between the coxal bones, then the delivery should be done. Is it clear? So it relaxes. Actually it relaxes the labor pains. So before there was severe labor pains, when relaxation is there, automatically it loses this giant. This giant will lose, automatically the RAM will enhances. So the female will get a temporary relaxation by the relaxing. So it is named as relaxing. It will give a temporary relaxation from the labor pains, a severe labor pains. So it is relaxing. Relaxation is secreted by ovaries. Ovaries in last days of pregnancy period. During last days of pregnancy period, relaxation is secreted by the ovary, and this relaxation will act on pubic symphysis giant, of pelvic girdle, and helps in the loosening of pubic symphysis giant, which is essential to relax the labor pains, or that will enhances the diameter of the canal, so the parturition will become easy. The delivery will become easy. So it may complete in 10 minutes to some hours. Okay. So the baby will be expelled out. So how the baby will be expelled? From head to foot. So first which will come out, that is the head, right? So that you should notice here. First head will be come out, after that remaining body parts will food will come last. Okay, so that is the stage of expulsion. Now the baby is completely expelled out. Parturition is completed. There is a delivery or birth of fetus is completed. After completion of this, the placental stage. So one thing you should notice here, the stage of dilation, widening of cervix takes place, right? Widening of cervix and the vagina takes place. In the stage of expulsion, baby should be pushed out. But one thing you should notice here, there is a connection between fetus and mother, that is a placenta. If baby will be pushed out, along with the baby, is the placenta come out? No chance. Along with the baby, along with the fetus, the placenta cannot be come out. What will happen before? So before this process only, if you see here, it is a fully formed fetus, for example, and here you will notice uterus of the mother, and here it is what? Placenta, and in between these two there is a connection. What is this? Umbilical cord. So fetus, umbilical cord, placenta. So before beginning of this labor pains, what will happen in this? So before this only, the progesterone level is reduced in the body. Whenever the progesterone levels will be reduced, there is releasing of prostaglandins. Prostaglandins in the uterus. This prostaglandin stimulates the contractions in the placenta and umbilical cord, where these two are connected. At that side, prostaglandins will stimulate the contractions. Whenever umbilical cord and placenta both are contracted, what will happen is this umbilical cord will be pushed towards the fetus, and this placenta will push towards the wall of uterus, endometrium of uterus. So that will contract in opposite direction. Umbilical cord and placenta will contract in opposite direction. Is it clear? At the time of ending or at last days of parturition, sorry, last days of pregnancy, and at the beginning of parturition, what will happen here? The progesterone level will be decreased. So whenever progesterone level will be decreased, prostaglandins will be released into uterus. So this prostaglandins will create contractions in the umbilical cord and placenta. Umbilical cord and placenta. So these contractions are opposite contractions that takes place in opposite directions. The contractions which takes place in the umbilical cord and placenta takes place in opposite directions. Whenever that will takes place in opposite directions, what will happen? That leads to separation of umbilical cord from the placenta. Umbilical cord is separated from the placenta. That should be noticed here. Is it clear? By the action of which proteins? Prostaglandins. Prostaglandins. The umbilical cord is separated. Umbilical cord is separated from the placenta. So along with the baby, that is along with the fetus, umbilical cord only come out, but placenta will remain inside the uterus. That you should notice. Along with the baby, it won't come out. So along with baby, which will come out, that is only umbilical cord. Umbilical cord will come out along with the baby. By the ending of stage of expulsion, the fetus will be pushed out along with the umbilical cord, right? Later, this umbilical cord will be cut at novel. So there is formation of novel. What is this novel? Novel is actually the side where the umbilical cord is connected with the fetus. During the fetal life, the umbilical cord is connected to the fetus. That is actually novel, right? So this will be cut after parturition. Umbilical cord will be cut at novel. And the next, this umbilical cord contains the very important stem cells. Stem cells are present in the umbilical cord. So whenever parturition will be done, the umbilical cord will be cut and preserved for the stem cells. So in the stem cell banking or stem cell preservation, the stem cells are mainly collected from umbilical cord. The stem cells are collected from umbilical cord, that you should notice here. Is it clear? So umbilical cord will be cut and stored or preserved in preservative conditions or in the stem cell banks. Okay. So it is very important. What is the use of these stem cells? These stem cells have an ability to develop into any type of tissue in future, except nervous tissue. It can able to develop into any type of tissue. For example, if there is damage of liver in a person because of any reason, up to a level it can able to regenerate. But if there is a complete damage of liver, if the stem cells of that person is preserved by culturing these stem cells, so already preserved stem cells are there. Whenever these preserved stem cells will culture, then we can get the liver tissue, hepatic tissue. Hepatic tissue may develop. And if there is any damage to spleen, it can able to develop as the tissue of the cells of the spleen. It can able to develop as the cells of stomach or tissue of stomach. So these are the cells which have ability to modify into any type of cells and tissues of body. Okay. There are some limitations for this stem cell still, but if the stem cells are there, if there is any damage to any body part, there is chances for reformation of that in the laboratory conditions by using the stem cells. So stem cells are collected from the umbilical cord after parturition, right? Now fetus is expelled out. Already amnion and amniotic fluid also expelled. Already we discussed that amnion ruptured and amniotic fluid will be completely released before parturition. Fetus also expelled out along with the umbilical cord. Then which is remain inside the uterus? Inside the uterus, which is remain? Inside the uterus, the placenta is still remaining. Placenta is present inside. It is about 500 grams in weight. Already we discussed 15 to 23 centimeters in diameter, 2.5 centimeters in thickness. This placenta. Now, in the placental stage, what will happen? Studies. In the placental stage, the placenta which is remaining in the uterus. After completion of delivery or birth or parturition, next within 30 minutes to 45 minutes, within 30 to 45 minutes, again the uterus will undergo very severe contractions. The uterus will again undergo strong contractions. These strong contractions leads to pushing out of placenta. So here also, because of prostaglandins already it is contracted again, the contractions have been continuing. So the placenta may be separated from the endometrium. Right now, in the placental stage, what will happen? In the placental stage, due to very strong contractions in the uterus, the placenta will be expelled out. The placenta will be pushed out from the uterus to exterior, right? So that is the placental stage. In placental stage, what will happen? After delivery of baby or after parturition of the fetus, within 30 to 45 minutes, severe contractions takes place in the uterus again. These severe contractions will push the placenta out. Before that, only due to release of prostaglandins, severe contractions takes place in the placenta that separates placenta from the walls of the uterus or endometrium of the uterus. Now placenta will be pushed out by these severe contractions which takes place in the uterus. Is it clear? That is the placental stage. Placental stage. It may complete within 30 to 45 minutes. It will begin after 30 to 45 minutes and finish within 15 to 30 minutes of time. So that you should notice here in the placental stage. Placental stage. So labor pains will be completed by the parturition, delivery, but again there will be beginning of severe contractions in the uterus. Why? Why there will be contractions takes place in the uterus after parturition? To expel out this placenta. To expel out the placenta from the uterus. Now again contractions takes place. Now this placenta will be pushed out through the vagina, right? That's clear about the parturition. So that is the ending of all. Now uterus is empty. There is no placenta, there is no fetus, right? But how is the diameter of uterus? By month to month during the pregnancy, the size of uterus have been increasing because the size of fetus have been increasing. No, because of that it is also increasing. Within 28 to 32 days after parturition, within 28 to 32 days, uterus will again recoil into its normal size and shape. Normal size and shape. Almost within 1 month or 28 to 32 days, there will be again the structure and shape of uterus will be again. At the same time, the endometrium also start regeneration. The endometrium also begin a regeneration. So that you should notice here in the parturition. Is it clear? What is parturition? What is the requirements for this parturition all are completed. So what is parturition? Parturition is the process of expelling out of fully mature fetus from the uterus of the mother to exterior after completion of gestation period or pregnancy period, except in premature deliveries and abortions. Okay, right? In this parturition, the signals required to initiate parturition will be developed by fully developed fetus and placenta. Actually, parturition includes both neural and endocrine mechanisms. Here, the nerve signals also required along with the hormonal actions, right? The fully developed fetus and placenta send some signals which stimulates mild contractions in the uterus. Whenever this mild contraction takes place in the uterus, then the posterior lobe of pituitary secretes the oxytocin. Oxytocin is actually a neural hormone secreted by the hypothalamus, but it is stored in the posterior pituitary. Now, posterior pituitary will start releasing of oxytocin. Whenever oxytocin level will increase in the blood of the female, that oxytocin will act on the smooth muscles of the myometrium of fetus. The largest smooth muscles are present in the myometrium of the fetus in a pregnant female. This oxytocin induces severe contractions in the smooth muscles of myometrium that begin the labor pains. In the labor pains, there are three stages: stage of dilation, stage of expulsion, and placental stage. During stage of dilation, what will happen? By the increase of oxytocin level, strong contraction takes place in smooth muscles of myometrium, and that strong contractions leads to rupture of amnion. So amniotic fluid will be sent out to the vagina before parturition, and after that, the dilation or widening of cervix and vagina takes place in this phase. It may be completed within 6 to 12 hours. That will depend upon the hormone levels of the body of the female. Next, after completion of stage of dilation, stage of expulsion, the fetus should be expelled out. In this phase, the fetus will be expelled out, which will complete within 10 minutes to some hours. And the relaxing is essential. Relaxing actually relaxes the joints that present the pelvic girdle. Joints present the pelvic girdle, especially the pubic symphysis. It loosens the pubic symphysis joint, which is present in the pelvic girdle, that is essential for parturition. It is actually secreted by ovaries in last days of pregnancy, last days of gestation. Okay. Next, after completion of that, during the stage of expulsion, the fetus will be expelled along with the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord will be cut at a novel, and this umbilical cord should be preserved for the stem cells. Placental stage. In this placental stage, after parturition within 30 to 45 minutes, very strong contractions takes place in the uterus again, that will push the placenta out. Okay, so it is actually known as after birth. After birth, that will be sent out. That is completion of parturition of fetus or delivery of fetus or birth to a baby. Okay, right? So if we observe from the copulation, that is physical intercourse between male and female, to parturition, copulation to parturition, what was happened? All that sequence should remain once. So, coitus or copulation, insemination, again fertilization, again cleavages, blastocyst formation, implantation, gastrula formation, there is a gastrulation, three embryos, organogenesis, the fate of three embryos, and after that, next embryonic development, first month, second month, third month, fourth month, fifth month, up to 9 months, and finally how the baby will be delivered out. Okay, so that is clear. After delivery or after parturition, how the baby will get nourishment, food. Before there was placenta, but now there is no connection between the direct contact between the mother and the placenta is not there. Now placenta is completely separated and sent out. Then how the newborn or neonate means newborn, get nourishment? For that, in the mammalians, like human being, mammary glands are present in the female. That mammary glands are able to produce a fluid which is known as mammary fluid. Commonly, we are calling that as a milk. So the process of production of milk by the mammary glands of a female after parturition or after delivery is known as lactation. We will discuss the lactation after a short break. Welcome back, students. Now we are going to discuss about the nourishing process in the mammalians, that is the lactation. So after parturition, within 24 hours, the mammary glands of mother will start secretion of mammary fluid, which is known as milk. Okay, what is lactation? Write down what is lactation. The process of production of milk. The process of production of milk by the mammary glands of the mother. The process of production of milk by the mammary glands of the mother, after parturition. After parturition is known as lactation. Lactation is the process of production of milk or mammary fluid by the mammary glands of mother after parturition. After parturition is known as lactation. So usually lactation will begin within 24 hours after parturition. Within 24 hours after parturition, the mammary glands will start secretion of milk. Okay, that you have to notice. The mammary glands will start secretion of milk. See, in this secretion of milk, the alveoli of mammary glands, as already we discussed the structure of mammary glands in a female human being. In that, which are the structural and functional units of mammary glands? Alveoli. So the alveoli of mammary glands secretes the milk, right? See why the alveoli will secrete the milk only after parturition, but not before parturition? Because one hormone is responsible for this, which is a hormone that is responsible for the secretion of milk. As already I gave you, one hormone from anterior lobe of pituitary is responsible for this, that is a prolactin. So prolactin stimulates the secretion of milk by the alveoli of mammary glands. So prolactin is the hormone responsible for the secretion of milk from the alveoli. Okay, so it is milk secreting hormone. Milk secreting hormone. Hormone responsible for milk secretion. Prolactin. Okay, so that you should notice. Prolactin, right? Or it is lactogenic hormone. Lactogenic hormone. That you should notice. Or lactotropic hormone, all are same. In first year already we discussed that. Prolactin or lactogenic hormone or lactotropic hormone. What is the role of prolactin in the production of milk or in the lactation? Prolactin stimulates the alveoli of the mammary glands to secrete the milk or mammary fluid. That you should notice here. Prolactin. And one more hormone also already I gave you, that is responsible for the ejection of milk. Oxytocin. Oxytocin is responsible for ejection of milk. So the milk will be coming out by the action of only oxytocin, ejection. Okay, ejection of milk is the role of oxytocin. Production of milk or secretion of milk, prolactin. Don't confuse now. Two hormones involved in the lactation. One is anterior pituitary hormone, another one is posterior pituitary hormone. Prolactin is the hormone that is secreted by the anterior pituitary, and this stimulates the alveoli of mammary glands to secrete the milk. So, which is milk secreting hormone or milk production hormone, that is prolactin, milk producing hormone. Oxytocin, milk ejecting hormone, hormone responsible for milk ejection is oxytocin, and also oxytocin is responsible for the parturition. Already we discussed that. So because of that, this oxytocin is also known as birth hormone. Oxytocin is also known as a birth hormone. Why it is birth hormone? Because it is responsible for the birth or parturition. Because of that, oxytocin is known as birth hormone. Oxytocin is birth hormone or milk ejecting hormone. So these two hormones play an important role in the process of lactation. See, lactation will begin after parturition, usually within 24 hours after parturition, when the prolactin levels will be increases in the body of female. If the prolactin levels will increases in the body of female, that will stimulate the alveoli of mammary glands, then alveoli secretes the milk. And oxytocin is responsible for the ejection of milk, which is known as birth hormone also. Okay, that's clear. What is the quantity of milk that is produced by a female per day? During effective lactation, a female can produce 1 to 2 liters of milk per day. The mammary glands of female can produce 1 to 2 liters of milk per day. Per day, how many liters of milk will be produced by a female during effective lactation? During effective lactation, the female can produce 1 to 2 liters of milk per day. Okay. And in this, one important thing you should note is colostrum. So colostrum is very important milk. First, you have to know what is this colostrum. See, the milk which is produced by mammary glands for the first time after parturition, the milk which is produced by mammary glands for the first time, or the milk which is produced by mammary glands in initial days of lactation, within 2 to 3 days of lactation, in first 2 to 3 days of lactation, the milk which is produced by mammary glands in early days of lactation or in initial days of lactation or in first 2 to 3 days of lactation, the milk which is produced here is known as colostrum. Very important, ma'am. What is colostrum? The yellow color milk, actually this colostrum is yellow in color. The yellow colored milk produced by mother in initial days of lactation. Lactation, that is usually in first 2 to 3 days, or the first milk produced by the mother after parturition. The first milk produced by the mother after parturition is colostrum. What is colostrum? The yellow colored milk or the yellow colored fluid secreted by mammary glands in initial days of lactation, or the first milk produced by the mother after parturition is known as colostrum. Important one. What is colostrum? The yellow colored milk produced by mother in initial days of lactation, that is in first 2 to 3 days of lactation. In an easy way, you should notice this as a first milk produced by the mammary glands of the mother after parturition, right? See, this colostrum is highly nutritive. Colostrum is highly nutritive and very, very essential for newborn. Colostrum is highly essential for newborn because it is highly nutritive and it mainly contains one type of antibodies, that is IgA type of antibodies, immunoglobulin alpha. So colostrum contains IgA type of antibodies. Colostrum contains IgA type of antibodies. These IgA type of antibodies are essential for the development of immunity. That is actually a type of passive immunity. Passive immunity, we will discuss that. You will learn that in the chapter Human Health and Diseases. Just remember, IgA type of antibodies are present in colostrum. Colostrum is highly rich in IgA type of antibodies. These IgA type of antibodies are essential for the development of immunity in the newborn. So the resistant power in the newborn baby will be developed by IgA. Already I gave you one type of antibodies that will be transported from the mother to the fetus through the placenta. That is IgG, immunoglobulin G. But now from mother to baby through the colostrum, which type of antibodies will be transported? That is IgA, immunoglobulin alpha. So two type of antibodies are produced in the body of mother and that will be transferred to the fetus or baby. During pregnancy, IgG type of antibodies are produced by the mother and that will be transferred to the fetus through the placenta. After parturition or after delivery,
IgA type of antibodies which are produced in the body of mother will be transferred to the baby, newborn baby through colostrum. Because of that, breastfeeding is essential for newborn. Breastfeeding is essential for newborn because in the colostrum, IgA antibodies which are present are essential for the development of immune power or immunity in newborn baby. Okay, but nowadays, unfortunately, many of the female in metropolitan cities, they are not interested for giving feed to the baby by milk or breastfeeding. They are avoiding breastfeeding. But breastfeeding is essential for newborn because in the colostrum, IgA antibodies are present that are essential for the development of passive immunity in newborn baby. Okay, so that is a natural passive acquired immunity. We'll discuss that in the chapter Human Health and Diseases. Just remember which type of antibodies are present in colostrum, IgA type of antibodies. This will develop which type of immunity? Passive immunity. That is also a natural passive immunity. Natural passive immunity, right? That you should remember. And also in this colostrum, the proteins also high. Proteins. Okay. Lactalbumin. Lactoprotein are important proteins in this. Lactalbumin and lactoprotein are the important hormones that present in the colostrum. Very important. What is colostrum? Why breastfeeding is essential for newborn? They may ask this for PUC mark. Colostrum is the milk produced by mother in initial days of lactation. Right? Colostrum is highly rich in IgA type of antibodies which are essential for the development of passive immunity in the newborn baby. So breastfeeding is essential. Along with this, colostrum contain proteins like lactalbumin and lactoproteins, right? That you should notice about the colostrum. And after that, what is the composition of milk? What is the composition of milk? In human milk, which are main components? Composition of milk. In human, what are the main components that are present in the milk? See, water is one of the main component in the milk. Water. And human milk contain a protein. Which is a milk protein? Casein. In first year, you learned that casein is a milk protein. To digest this casein, an enzyme renin is required. Renin converts casein into calcium paracaseinate in the presence of calcium ions. So casein is milk protein. Casein is milk protein. And which is the milk sugar? Lactose. Milk sugar, lactose is present. So water, casein is a milk protein, lactose is a milk sugar, and here fat droplets are high in concentration. So fat is in the form of fat droplets. Fat droplets are present here, but carbohydrates are less in quantity. Okay, fat droplets are more here. Along with that, you may notice various type of minerals like calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sodium are the main minerals here. In the milk, sodium is present, potassium is present, calcium is present, phosphorus. Calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sodium are present here. But in this milk, vitamin C is low in concentration. Vitamin C is present, but the concentration of that vitamin is less. Remaining all vitamin A, B, okay, E. Vitamins are more, but vitamin C is present, but in low concentration. Right? Iron is completely absent in the milk. Usually, we are feeling that in the milk there is more iron, but iron is absent. In the human milk, iron is absent. At the same time, in this, vitamin C is low in concentration. That is the composition of milk. So what is the composition of milk? The human milk contains water. After that, fat droplets, the milk protein casein, and milk sugar lactose. Along with that, sodium, potassium, phosphorus, calcium like minerals, and all vitamins. Okay, vitamins, but the vitamin C concentration is low, right? And iron is absent in the human milk. What is the quantity of milk that will be secreted by female? 1 to 2 liters per day during effective lactation. During effective lactation, that you should notice here. Right? Is it clear? Right. What is the duration of lactation? Duration of lactation. How many months the female can produce the milk? A maximum of 6 months a female can produce the milk. The effective milk production, effective, I am telling you, the effective lactation will take place a maximum of 6 months. After 6 months, automatically the quantity of milk produced by the mammary glands will be reduced. So lactation will be effective up to 6 months. During this effective lactation, the menstrual cycle will be absent. The menstrual cycle will be absent, that you should notice. So during effective lactation, that is a maximum of 6 months after parturition, menstruation will be absent. Even after 6 months also there is production of milk, but the quantity of milk will be reduced. So effective lactation takes place up to a maximum of 6 months after parturition. So that you should notice. For example, if a female will stop giving milk to baby after 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, then what will happen? Is the lactation continuous? If a female, even there is production of milk in the mammary glands, if the female is not interested to nourish the baby by breastfeeding, then what will happen? How the secretion of milk will be stopped? If a female will stop giving milk, if alveoli or if the mammary glands are not emptied, so if the milk is not released out continuously, if there is storage of milk, in the milk, there is one inhibitory protein, that is inhibitory peptide. Inhibitory peptide is present in the milk. Inhibitory peptide. Actually, this inhibitory peptide is inactive during the lactation. Whenever breastfeeding is continuous in a female, inhibitory peptide is inactive. But whenever the mammary glands are not emptied, if the mammary glands are not emptied, the milk is accumulated in the mammary glands, then this inhibitory peptide will be activated. If the mammary glands are not emptied or if milk cannot be ejected out continuously, the inhibitory peptide will be activated, and this inhibitory peptide inhibits the secretion of milk by the alveoli. If the female cannot give milk to baby, what will happen? If milk is accumulated in the mammary glands, if mammary glands are not emptied continuously, then the inhibitory peptide which is present in the milk will be activated. That inhibitory peptide inhibits the secretion of milk by the alveoli of mammary glands. Alveoli of the mammary glands, that you should notice. Is it clear? Right. So for effective lactation or to continue the production of milk by the mammary glands for a long period of time, breastfeeding to the baby is important. Okay, that you should notice here. So that is about the lactation. What is lactation? What are the hormones involved in the process of lactation? What is colostrum? What is the importance of colostrum to newborn? And what is the composition of milk in a human being? Right. So that's clear about the lactation. So lactation also completed. After completion of lactation, the next topic. Is it clear? Right. So according to your syllabus, parturition and lactation, that is the last topic that is completed here. But some more topics also we should discuss here. For example, what are the disorders? Some common disorders of embryonic development. Disorders of embryonic development. Common disorders. Disorders of embryonic development. Disorders of embryonic development. In this, the first one is related to amnion, that is the amnionitis. Amnionitis. Amnionitis is the inflammation of amnion. Inflammation of amnion. Inflammation means a painful reddish swelling. A painful reddish swelling in the amnion. Here, inflammation of amnion. See, because of this inflammation, the amnion may rupture before parturition. Pre-rupture of amnion takes place. Pre-rupturing of amnion. Actually, amnion should be ruptured during the parturition. But in this amnionitis, due to inflammation of amnion will be ruptured before parturition or pre-rupture of amnion takes place. If there is pre-rupture of amnion, what will happen? All amniotic fluid will be sent out before parturition. So then there will be no amniotic fluid around the embryo. Around the fetus, there will be no amnion. Then what will happen? If amniotic fluid is not there around the amnion, or if the quantity of amniotic fluid will be less around the fetus, what will happen? As already we discussed, amnion is essential for the maintenance of moisture around the fetus. If there is no amniotic fluid, that may lead to desiccation. Of the fetus. Desiccation of the fetus. Sometimes the fetus may completely dry up. That may lead to death of the fetus also. Okay. So amniotic fluid is essential to maintain a moisture around the fetus. It acts like a fluid helmet around the fetus. As already I gave, this amniotic fluid is essential for the maintenance of temperature and also moisture around the fetus. If this amniotic fluid is reduced because of this type of pre-ruptured cases, that leads to desiccation. That leads to desiccation of embryo or desiccation of fetus, which may lead to death of the fetus. Right? So that you should notice. Is it clear? So if amniotic fluid is reduced in quantity, right? Sometimes the baby will be die due to desiccation. If the baby will be successfully delivered, if birth will take place, after birth also the baby will get some abnormalities in the bodies. Okay. So abnormalities will take place in the baby after parturition. They require a postnatal care to maintain a particular moisture around fetus. That require a postnatal care that you should notice. So amnionitis, that is inflammation of amnion, which leads to pre-rupture of amnion, that leads to releasing of amniotic fluid before parturition. Then there is no chances for the maintenance of moisture around the fetus. That may lead to desiccation of the fetus, which may lead to death of the fetus also. Okay, right? So there is amnionitis, and after amnionitis, abortion. So it is expelling out of fetus before 20th week. Before 20th week, if baby will be expelled out from the uterus before 20th week, that means before 5th month, that is abortion. So abortion is expelling out of baby or expelling out of fetus before 20th week, where there will be no chances for the survival. So there is no chances for the survival of fetus if that will be delivered before 20th week or before 5th month, right? And the baby is less than 500 grams in weight. So in this, it is less than 500 grams in weight. Because of that, there will be no chances for the survival, right? Abortions may usually take place naturally or induced. Induced abortions or artificial or intentional abortions also takes place, which is known as medical termination of pregnancy. We will discuss that in next chapter. But sometimes abortions may take place naturally also. Okay, spontaneous abortions, that are spontaneous abortions also takes place, right? So that is abortions. Next, teratogeny. I think already I gave you this teratogeny. Teratogens are the chemical substances or any drugs which leads to improper formation of organs and organ systems in the fetus. So abnormal formation of organs and organ systems. Okay. So improper development of organs and organ systems in the fetus is known as teratogeny. It is mainly because of drugs or tobacco or alcohol consumption during the pregnancy. During the pregnancy, if a female will take more quantities of drugs or more alcohol or more tobacco smoking, that may leads to improper development of organs and organ systems or abnormal formation of organs and organ systems, that is known as teratogeny. Teratogens are these chemicals like drugs or alcohol or tobacco, whatever that are known as teratogens. These teratogens will disturb the normal development, that will disturb the normal development and organogenesis in the fetus. So there will be improper formation of organs and organ systems. Okay, right? That is teratogeny. These are the common disorders. Amnionitis, abortions, and teratogeny are some common disorders in embryonic developments. Embryonic developments that you should notice here. Right? Is it clear? Right. After completion of that, and one more topic also I want to give here. That is interesting. How the twins will born. Twins. How the twins will born. See, in human being, monospermy is the condition. Monospermy is the condition. In the fallopian tubes, at ampulla, only one sperm will fuse with the ovum. Only one sperm will fuse with the ovum. So usually, how many zygotes will form? Only one zygote will form. But sometimes more than one ovum may produce by the female. See, if observe here, in this case, sometimes in female, both the ovaries produces the ova. So in both fallopian tubes, there is ovum. Now, the two different sperms will fuse with two different ova. Observe carefully. It is one ovum produced by this ovary. It is another ovum produced by another ovary. Usually, one ovum will be produced by the two ovaries alternatively in every month. But sometimes both the ovaries produce the ova. If both the ovaries produce the ova, or a single ovary produce more than one ova in a menstrual cycle, then what will happen? Then two sperms will fuse with this. So now how many zygotes are formed? Two zygotes are formed. These two zygotes will develop as two embryos. So now there is chances for the production of twins. Twins will be produced here. Twins will born here. Okay. So two ova produce, two sperm fuse, and two embryos, two fetus, and that will be delivered as a twins. Right? If you observe carefully this, that not came from the same zygote. The two will develop from two different zygotes. Okay, two different zygotes. So the sperm which fuses with ovum is different here. A single sperm is not responsible for the formation of two embryos here. Two different sperms. So different genetic material may present. If this sperm carry X chromosome, this zygote will develop as a female. If this sperm carry Y chromosome, this zygote may develop as male. Okay, so this type of twins which develop from different zygotes are known as fraternal twins. Fraternal twins. So first, fraternal twins, fraternal twins, are dizygotic twins. They develop from two different zygotes. Dizygotic twins. Dizygotic twins are non-identical. They are not identical to each other. There may be chances for the production of male and female both as the twins in these conditions. Non-identical twins. Non-identical twins. So how these fraternal twins or dizygotic twins or non-identical twins will produce? If more than one ovum will be produced, if that will be fuses with two different sperms, that two will develop as two different zygotes, two different embryos will be formed, two different fetus will form finally that will deliver as the twins. So is it clear? So they are not identical to each other. There are variations between them. They are not exact copies of each other. They are not looking like a Xerox copy of each other. There are some variations in them. Even they are twins. In this condition only there is possibility to produce a male and a female babies as a twins, because they came from two different sperms. So fraternal twins. Dizygotic twins, they develop from two different zygotes. Non-identical, they are not identical to each other. So that you should notice. What about in second condition, that is monozygotic twins? Monozygotic twins are identical twins. Monozygotic or identical twins. How these monozygotic or identical twins will form? See, in this condition, if it is a ovum, it will fuses with the sperm. Then that leads to formation of a zygote. Right? It is zygote. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay. Right, that's clear. Observe here carefully. So here monozygotic twins are fraternal twins. Sorry, fraternal twins are dizygotic twins. That is completed. Now it is monozygotic or identical twins. What are these monozygotic or identical twins? If a ovum is fertilized with the sperm, that leads to formation of a zygote. This zygote will undergo cleavages, and that leads to formation of blastomas here. As already we discussed this, there is formation of blastomas. If because of any reason these blastomas are separated from each other in human being, if these two are separated from each other, these two blastomas can able to develop as embryos. So this will develop as independent embryos. That will develop as a independent embryos. That you should notice here. So the two zygotic, the two will develop as two independent embryos. So one ovum fertilizes with one sperm, that leads to formation of a single zygote, which will undergo cleavages and forms the blastomas. If these blastomas are separated from each other, then that blastomas will develop as independent embryos. It is the character of cleavages only in higher group of animals, right? This type of cleavages are known as indeterminate cleavages. In first year we discussed already. In indeterminate cleavages, if the blastomas are separated from each other, that can be able to develop as independent embryos. But what about indeterminate cleavages? Determinate cleavages takes place in lower group of organisms. In that determinate cleavages, the blastomas are separated from each other. That cannot able to develop as independent embryos, because in determinate cleavages, the fate of blastomas will be decided in early stage of embryonic development. But whereas in indeterminate cleavages, the fate of these blastomas is not decided in early stages. Because of that, if the blastomers are separated from each other, that can able to develop as independent embryos. So which type of cleavages are there in this formation? Indeterminate cleavages. Indeterminate cleavages. In the case of indeterminate cleavages, the fate of blastomas is not decided in early stage of embryonic development. Because of that, if the blastomas are get separated from each other because of any reason, that blastomas can able to develop into independent embryos. That you should notice. So in human being and also in all higher group of animals, which type of cleavages are there? Indeterminate cleavages. So which type of cleavages are responsible for the formation of monozygotic twins or identical twins? Indeterminate cleavages. Now, if you observe these two embryos, both came from a common sperm and ovum. Both developed from a single zygote. So they have same genetic material. They possess the same genetic material. Because of that, they are identical to each other. They are just like a Xerox copies of each other. So these are identical twins which develop from a single zygote, monozygotic twins. Is there any chance for the formation of or development of male and female monozygotic twins? Male and female identical twins, is it possible? It is never possible. Because if this sperm carry X chromosome, then this zygote is a female. So that chromosome only distributed between these two. So the identical twins always belongs to same gender. Or monozygotic twins always belongs to same gender. But fraternal twins or dizygotic twins or non-identical twins may belong to different genders. But in the case of monozygotic or identical twins, which is possible. So only a single gender is possible. Either there will be production of male or production of female monozygotic twins. Okay, that you have to know. See, in majority of the cases, fraternal twins or dizygotic twins or non-identical twins we will notice. Okay, so whenever there is separation of blastomas from the morula, then only there will be chances for the monozygotic twins. Rare conditions. The blastomas are not separated usually in normal conditions, but in very rare conditions only blastomas get separated from each other, that leads to monozygotic twins. If there are 4 blastomas, if 4 blastomas are there, if these 4 blastomas are get separated from each other, what will happen? So 4 will be developed as a 4 independent embryos. So they will get how many twins? How many offsprings? They will get 4 offsprings. All belongs to same gender. All belongs to same gender. Is it clear? So if the twins are belongs to same gender, there might be chances for monozygotic, or that may be fraternal or dizygotic or non-identical also, right? If there is 2 different genders, that must be fraternal or dizygotic. If the twins are belong to 2 different genders, they must be dizygotic, okay, or fraternal or non-identical. If there is same gender, there may be chances for both. In both conditions, same gender possible, but different genders are possible only in the fraternal twins. That you should notice. And sometimes these twins, which are developing in the uterus of the mother, some body parts of the twins will be attached. That are known as Siamese twins. Siamese twins. In that Siamese twins, so that is also a concept. The Siamese twins. What is the Siamese twins? These Siamese twins are the twins where some body parts are attached. It is actually if both ova are produced by a single ovary and both ova are fertilized in a single fallopian tube, at the time of transport, if both zygotes or morulas are attached with each other, then what will happen? or after reaching in the uterus, at the time of implantation, both are attached with each other. What will happen? That connected part or attached part or attached cells will develop as a single part. Then there will be contact or there will be connection between the two twins, which are known as Siamese twins. Because for the first time, this type of twins was noticed in a city, that is Siam of Thailand. Siam of Thailand. Because of that, they were named as Siamese twins. Siam is a city in Thailand. Okay, so they are Siamese twins. So that's clear about the twins. Up to that, this chapter, human reproduction, is completed. Okay, in next class, we will start a new chapter. Thank you.